Hey guys, what's going on? It's AJ Morley, coming at you guys with my review for WWE TLC on Sunday, December 13th from the TD Gardens in Boston, Massachusetts. At the end of the video, I will talk about what happened on Raw last night because it tied in very well with what happened at the end of TLC. But we'll get to that a little bit later, and we'll start off with the WWE Tag Team titles. It was a triple threat TLC match with the New Day defending against the Lucha Dragons and the Usos. The New Day came out at the start of the video, the start of the pay-per-view rather. With their usual spiel, just mocking the other team. We had the Lucha Booties again. They're back. Xavier Woods, who didn't do his hair for Boston because Boston don't deserve Xavier Woods' style of hair. And the Usos are apparently sounding like a disease. We've caught a case of the Usos, which was pretty funny. The New Day are still just as entertaining as ever, just after a year. You know, most tag teams, unless they've got that something special like the Dudleys or the Hardys, or Edge and Christian, or teams like that, they don't really last that long. So it's credit to themselves, it's credit to WWE that they've managed to stick around for a full year and more. And long may it continue, because tonight they were exceptional. Xavier Woods was on commentary, and it's probably the best thing ever. Correcting Michael Cole. It needs to correct the rest of them. Just Xavier Woods and the new bloke whose name has jumped straight over my head. Have escaped me, but if you just put those two on commentary forever, it would just be absolutely perfect. But back to the match. We'll talk about the commentary as we get onto it. The match was insane. It was really, really good. It was a really, really good start. The pay-per-view had such poor build-up. Raw have had the three lowest ratings for years, decades maybe. They had, but they came out all guns blazing. Tonight. It was a really, really hot start. It was a really, really good start. The match was good. There was action everywhere. Everybody was putting it all on the line. There was spot after spot. Usos were flying off the top rope with ladders. They were doing sentons. Sin Cara did a diving swanton bomb onto, I think it was Big E, onto the outside, who had a ladder over the top of him. That was pretty cool. The spot of the night, though, goes to Kalisto, who hit a Salida del Sol off the top of the ladder onto, I think it was Jey Uso. Forget me, I'm wrong. Xavier Woods can correct me because he did it to Michael Cole. But he hit a Salida del Sol off the top of the ladder. If you haven't seen it, you need to go back and check it out because it was so good. The crowd blew up. It was an amazing spot. Credit to both men. Credit to Kalisto and the Usos who came out last night on Raw as well, because that could have blown him out. But he hit a Salida del Sol off the ladder, through another ladder which was perched between the middle rope and the ladder that was set up. It snapped the ladder in half. Jey was just completely out of it. I don't think we saw Kalisto again for the rest of the night. Sin Cara then hit a swanton bomb off the top rope onto Jey, who was on the broken ladder. It was, the crowd just blew up. It was an amazing match. Xavier Woods was going absolutely sick on commentary. It was really, really special. It was a really cool moment, and it's different. You don't see innovative moves like that on in ladder matches anymore, which is a real shame because I think Edge and Christian have sort of ruined that, really, doing what they did and how they innovated the ladder match along with Chris Jericho and the Dudleys and the Hardys again. So it's difficult to bring in moves that are as unique as that. And it was really, really cool. It was a really, really good move, and it was a hot start to the pay-per-view. Xavier Woods, like I say, on commentary was just fantastic. He was talking about stamina recharge. You need to save your stamina, like on I think the line he used was, you need to save it like you do on WWE 2K16. I don't know if they were trying to plug the game or Woods pulled that out himself, but it was a top line. It was really, really good. I say about him correcting Michael Cole because Cole couldn't tell the difference between Kalisto and Sin Cara. I have trouble doing that. The Usos made it easier for me tonight because they were wearing different coloured attires, which made it a little bit easier. But Michael Cole is probably the worst commentator going. JBL is very, very much up there. They all just don't seem to, not don't seem to care, they just don't seem to understand the product and what's going on with it at the minute. They're too busy trying to make corny jokes and they're not focusing enough on the details of what's going on during the match. They start off fine and then they just sort of drift off and the minds are gone. So if we could keep Xavier Woods on there, it'd be really, really special. The ending came when who was it? I think it was Kalisto was trying to climb up the ladder. We saw him attempt to climb up the ladder. I don't know how he was moving. He must have man, fair play. It was a hell of a move. He was climbing up the ladder. Xavier Woods realised that it was a no disqualification match. Got off, took his headset off, left commentary, picked. It's such a New Day finish, but it's brilliant. Got his trombone, threw it at Kalisto, hit Kalisto square in the back. Kofi Kingston came in, launched Kalisto off of the ladder, very, very slowly climbed the ladder and retained the gold. And the New Day are still your tag team champions. I don't really know what else I can say about this match that was already said. It was amazing. It was such a good start to the match. I hope WWE do more sort of triple threat tag matches. Not necessarily a TLC match, but just more to involve the tag teams that maybe aren't as well featured in sort of like higher up the echelons of the tag team division. So, you know, the Lucha Dragons have been there or thereabouts, but, you know, the Usos have been off with injury. You know, it would have been even cooler if you saw like the Dudleys been brought back into it, but, you know, they've had their chance there at the back. They obviously feuded with the Wyatts tonight, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But they're cool that the WWE have got, although they don't put all the tag teams as the main focus of the sort of tag team titles, they're all around it and they'll all branch them in. And WWE's tag team division is really, really strong at the minute. Strong as it's been for years, I'd argue. You know, you've not had this sort of plethora of talent that works so well with tag teams. You know, you don't get random 6-man tag team matches. You don't get impromptu tag matches when, you know, your main event star interrupts like a promo from a mid carder, and, you know, it's really cool. And it shows the depth and talent that WWE have got and how unique they can be with teams. Because, you know, the Usos, the Lucha Dragons, and to an extent the New Day, I'd say, are pretty high flying teams. You know, you look at sort of the cruiserweight division when that was in, and you had sort of like Mysterio, Billy Kidman, Tajiri, you had the FBI. God, I remember them. And it seems like the WWE are going more back towards sort of the high flying PG era, because the kids want to see, you know, people like that. They don't want to see the big guys. Although, you know, you've got people like Rusev, Ryback, who we'll talk about in a second. Big Show, you don't want to be seeing them trying to charge around the ring. You want to see guys who are busting their asses and flying around the ring. I think that sums up the pay-per-view, because no one had any expectations going into this. Everyone had seen Raw for the last 3 weeks and just thought, nah, fuck this. But I'll give it to WWE tonight. It was I wouldn't say impressive, I think the word was, considering, because everyone just busted their ass. There was a couple of matches that were as what you expected, but I think the main event, the Intercontinental title match, and this match were the three that sort of, I think, I wouldn't say exceeded expectations, but definitely changed people's opinions on what WWE was going for tonight. And that's definitely what they needed. And with Raw last night as well, if they can carry on that momentum now towards WrestleMania, and you've got the Rumble in 6 weeks, it's going to be a real, real good start to next year, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. But yeah, New Day retained the tag team titles thanks to Kofi Kingston. Yeah, like I say, it was an incredible match. The crowd were into it from the start. As soon as the first high flying spot came into it, it was blowing up. As soon as Kalisto hit his move, the crowd, they needed something to cool down. They needed two guys that probably weren't going to put on the best match. And unfortunately, those two guys were Rusev and Ryback. I'm not going to lie, I've not watched Raw in the last couple of weeks, so I've not really followed any developing storylines. I've kept in touch with what's going on, but I've not followed it religiously. And the video package they put together made Ryback look like a wife beater. It was horrendous. It was just him, Lana getting in the way, and him just either knocking her out of the way or accidentally getting into her. And it was all obviously to put Rusev over, but it didn't make Ryback come out very, very strong. Also, when Ryback comes out, how many gimmicks does he need to have on his attire? He's got like the big guy across his chest, he's got the beanie, he's got the dog tags, he's got the elbow pads, he's got the vest, he's got... Honestly, that dude, you may as well bring a merch stand out with him. But I'm starting to like Ryback a lot more. He's becoming a cruiserweight, which is weird. Tonight we saw him jump off the top rope onto the outside. We saw him hit a missile drop kick. The guy's getting a lot more agile, which is sort of a trend with big guys now in the WWE. You know, you look at Rusev, you know, he can fly around the ring. Bray Wyatt can fly around the ring. Harper, Rowan. The Dudleys are pretty, considering their vast age, they're considerably agile, you'd say. Not the quickest, but they can certainly move around a ring. And it's definitely the thing that WWE go for. They're looking for big, strong guys who can fly around the ring. I mean, you go down to NXT and you look at Apollo Crews. He's a huge guy. I think he's only like 20 years old. That guy can move. There's a real plethora of talent from the lower, not the lower ranks. I don't want to sort of disrespect NXT because it's really, really cool. But, that WWE can bring up and just keep that not high flying, but for a big guy, a high flying talent and superstar like that, like Ryback. And it's really cool to see. The match itself wasn't anything special. It was just standard sort of. It's difficult for two, like I've always said, too difficult for two big guys to really put on a really, really good match and the crowd to get into it. The crowd were obviously burnt out from the tag team title match. And rightly so. Even I was a little bit sort of like sort of drifting off a little bit, but the match itself wasn't bad. It was hard hitting. Both guys put on given the time they had, about 10 minutes, they put on a really good show, a really decent show, and they can be sort of like happy with their efforts. The ending came predictably when Lana got interfered. The match spilled out to the outside. Ryback sort of backed up and Lana stood behind him. Lana then slapped him, I think, on the back, but made out as if Ryback had sort of like knocked himself into her. So she went down so theatrically. I'll talk about Lana in a minute because it's just something that might bug me later on if it carries on. But Rusev then super kicked Ryback square in the face. The angle was incredible. Ryback looked he was like completely knocked out. It was a solid kick. Similar to the one that Reigns got hit with at the end of Raw last night. But I'll talk about Raw at the end of the video. Holding horses, people. It was a real stiff kick. Got in the ring, went for the accolade. I don't know if Ryback either passed out or just fell asleep because he was fed up with the match. But Rusev won via the accolade. And it's good that Rusev is still being portrayed as the big monster that the accolade can barely be broken and whatnot, because he's a big heel. You saw at Mania when he did it, the match with Cena. Everyone's still talking about his entrance with the tank. He used to bring that back, by the way. That was a sick entrance. But yeah, Rusev's always been up there with that big heel, and that's what I talk about, like agility. He's such a big guy, and he can fly around that ring, and he does really, really good things. I didn't talk about the pre-show mainly because A, the network crashed, and B, I barely watched them because I don't really care about it. But I saw the segment with the League of Nations, being Sheamus, Wade Barrett, Rusev, and Del Rio. And Lana was with Rusev, and the guy looks so genuinely happy that Lana and him have not come out of their engagement, but like everybody's well aware of it now. And it's really cool to see. You just like look, quick little looks, and he just looks so happy. Congratulations to those, by the way. It's been there for a while, but I hope they have a great wedding and they live happily together. A fairy tale and really gay moment, but. I didn't really watch the pre-show. It doesn't really bother me, but that's just what I want to say about Rusev and Lana, about how happy he looks, because he does. He genuinely looks happy. It's not like an on-camera moment, because genuinely they are together in real life. But he just looks really, really happy, and it's quite funny to see, to be honest. Another point on Lana, her theatrics tonight and over the last couple of weeks on Raw. Everybody loves Lana. When she was out for 6 weeks. 6 weeks, like 3 months with her broken wrist and whatnot. Everybody sort of like, we want Lana and stuff, but I just feel that if the theatrics continue, it's going to cause like a negative effect on her, and because I wasn't impressed with it, and she's a really good manager, and the rumors of her training to be a superstar and be on the Divas division and stuff, and whether they're true or not, might have been put on hold obviously with her wrist injury, but if she needs to cut that shit out. I know Rusev's going to obviously go for like the cheap wins if he can, and like the heel wins. But like last of the theatrics would be just absolutely perfect. But yeah, Rusev picks up the win via the accolade. The crowd not really into it. It was disappointing because they were obviously so burned out from the first match, and they didn't really pick up until the Intercontinental title match and then the match at the end, the TLC title match for the World Heavyweight Championship, which was disappointing because I know obviously you're going to get burned out, but the matches in between those, other than the 8-man tag team table match, the matches weren't great. They were just sort of standard matches you'd see on Raw, just with maybe titles put on the line or like Rusev and Ryback. There was nothing really. It was just sort of feud ending or storyline continuing feud, which was a bit sort of disappointing to see. But speaking of disappointing title matches, the next match we had on the card was the United States title match. It was Alberto Del Rio. That was awful. I would not be Ricardo Rodriguez versus Jack Swagger for the United States title, and it was a chairs match. Didn't really see the point of a chairs match, to be honest. Yeah, the chairs worked, but they used them in the match. But it's just a pointless match. Just have a TLC match. Del Rio's TLC match with CM Punk in his first stint in the company was amazing. If you haven't watched it, you need to go check that out on the network. Really, really good match. And the Miz even. God, remember the Miz? Good grief. He wasn't even on the pre-show. Del Rio and Swagger for the US title. Again, similar to Ryback and Rusev, crowd were burned out, and they're just two guys that the crowd don't care about. Del Rio's come back and has done nothing. I'm glad he's got rid of Zeb Coulter as the whole Mex America angle, because that was just ridiculous. Del Rio's now joined the League of Nations, which, if done properly, could be pretty cool and a pretty solid stable. I doubt it'll last long considering what happened last night. But for the meantime, it's pretty cool that it's there. We'll talk about it last night when we get to it. Wait your turn. The match itself, it wasn't great. People are behind the gimmick of Jack Swagger, but he's just not pushed enough. The whole we the people. They're really cool, and Swagger is a talented guy, but whether he WWE don't trust him enough, obviously with incidents that he's had in the past, like failed drug tests and DUIs and things like that, makes you wonder how far the WWE are going to push him, if they trust him enough not to do those sort of things again, which is disappointing because he's really, really talented. Del Rio, no one cared about him the first time he was here. I think they were more glad to see him leave. It was cool to see him return and just beat Cena clean at the pay-per-view return, which I can't think of what it was off the top of my head. It was 2 months ago. Oh God, that's horrendous. But he beat Cena clean, and this is what I'm going on about. He's defended the US title twice in 2 months since he's been back. Cena defended it week in and week out and made it relevant, and we've just gone back to the Dean Ambrose when he was the US champion. It's really frustrating to see because he's a talented guy and he works really well as a heel, but he's just not a character that the crowd care about. It's like Sheamus. He was a face for ages and the crowd didn't care about him. He went away, he was injured, came back as a heel. The heel gimmick is a lot better for Sheamus, but no one cares about it. And no one cares about Del Rio, and it's more the character and the personality than it is the wrestler. Because again, Del Rio is really talented, but just no one cares. No one really put any sort of afterthought into this match. It was just like a simple chairs match. The whole thing, I think, was to do with Zeb Coulter. Del Rio won the match with a double foot stomp under a pile of chairs. Swagger, I will give props to Del Rio for selling the Uncle when Swagger had Del Rio in a Patriot lock with a chair wrapped around it. That was cool. He showed after the match he could barely stand up on his foot. He could barely stand up. He could barely move around. That was a really cool thing to do. But I don't really know. It's a mid card title, but it's a mid card title for superstars that WWE was like, you can have a US title shot. You can have a US title shot. You can have a US title shot. And it's disappointing because they don't do that with the Intercontinental title. They see the talent, they'll elevate the talent, they'll give them the US title. Ryback and Kevin Owens. So Daniel Bryan was injured, gave it to Ryback. Ryback didn't do anything with it. Give it to the guy who's real up as like a top heel of the company. Give it to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens then elevates it to the next level. He took on Dean Ambrose tonight. We'll talk about that a bit later on. But the US title just seems to be like an afterthought now. I know it's difficult. It sounds more difficult than it should be. It's difficult for everyone to care about every title, but don't have the title if no one's caring about it. What actually is the point of the US title? It's just a championship. I get you get more money if you're the champion and stuff, but you shouldn't get extra money for not defending it or just wearing it. What's the point in that? You might as well just not have it. You should get extra money for defending the title. But hopefully Del Rio will do something more with the US title. Maybe he could sort of feud with someone. If the League of Nations doesn't work, maybe he could feud with Rusev over it, or maybe Ziggler could come back into it. Maybe the Miz. Where's the Miz? Cesaro. Where was he last night? He was injured, I know. But yeah, it happened to the Intercontinental title. It's happened to the US title. It's going to happen at some point with each title. But the writers have been doing it long enough to know that people need to care about the titles. And you can put on superstars that they don't care about the titles, and they're just not going to care, and the fans aren't going to care. And I think that's reflected in the Raw results for the last 3 weeks, month or so. Lowest ratings in what, 10, 12 years, 15 years maybe. The fans just don't care because what they're being fed is bullshit. Hopefully the viewings for last night's Raw picked up. Like I say, we'll talk about that a bit later on. But yeah, the ratings have been awful, and it's because the writers have just got nothing fresh. It's the same old spiel week in, week out, and for maybe 1 or 2 weeks it's fine, but for a month or two it's nah, fuck that, man. You need better writers. You need to sort like storylines out for everybody. Well, not everybody, but like your top guys that you're going to put on the show. Don't just feed them crap. Like Rusev and Ryback, no one cared about that. Not many people cared about Del Rio when he aligned with Zeb Coulter. Not many people cared about Jack Swagger. The guy is over though. Give him a push, Jesus. If he fucks it up, then that's his fault, isn't it? Oh dear. Anyway, enough about Del Rio and Swagger and fans and ratings and all sorts of shit. We're talking about TLC, damn it. So Del Rio won with a double foot stomp off the top rope onto a pile of chairs. The angle that they showed with Swagger, he hit those chairs hard. Good. WWE's camera angles are at times hilarious. They either go hilariously bad or they're top notch. The angle of Kalisto doing the Salido El Sal was sick. And same with Swagger hitting those chairs hard. It was good. WWE's production is incredible. You can shit on the product all you want, but the production values and the packages they put together, they're real good. So you have to give them credit for that, definitely. The next match on the card, match number 4, was the 8-man tag team tables match between the Wyatt family and Team ECW. Team ECW forming of the Dudley Boys, and they brought back Tommy Dreamer, and last week they brought back Rhino to face off the Wyatts. So it's Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman. Really good match. Again, the crowd picked up a bit for this, which was good because it involved something. It meant something. It's disappointing that a tables match that didn't mean anything in the long term meant more to the fans than a United States title match, and that's the point I was trying to get at with Swagger and Del Rio. But the match was really good. I was really impressed with it. It was an elimination match, so if you got put through a table, you were eliminated. Fairly basic and understandable rules. First man to be eliminated was Eric Rowan after he got put through a table. Obviously, there's a couple of moments where they had to clear up the rules because Strowman put his foot through a rope, then through a table. Then Devon went through a table on the outside, but he came off a table, so it wasn't actually an elimination because no one put him through a table. So Rowan's the first one, to be put through a table, and you thought at that point that ECW. That's what they were called, Team ECW, or Team Extreme, as Michael Cole kept referring them to. So it's not the Hardys. So Roman, was the first one to go through a table. And then at that point, you thought, right, 4-on-3, good advantage. But then, of course, the Wyatts turned the tables around. If you thought, by the way, that ECW had a chance of winning, you need to watch WWE a lot more. There's not a chance the Wyatts were not going over in this match. I still hate the fact the Wyatts have been shit on constantly. For pay-per-views and main events. Bray Wyatt has to lose singles matches but wins an impromptu 8-man tag team match. Bray is... Why not give Bray the US title? And see what he can do with it. Owens, Ambrose, they've all had single titles. Give it to Wyatt. I would. Wyatt could have that US title for ages. He's the heel. He can get his family to interfere in matches. They can help him win, by doing whatever. He's resourceful. He's agile. He's big. Why not let him have a title? I'd like to see Harper and Rowan go for the tag team titles again because that would be pretty cool. They were a decent tag team when they're good. I'm still not a fan of Strowman. I get the whole the guy is huge, by the way, but I get the whole sort of big man gimmick and he fits in with the family stuff. But I'm just not a fan. He just doesn't sort of do anything for me. I'm not, Harper and Rowan are two really underrated guys, especially Harper. Harper is an incredible athlete. And I really am a big fan of Bray Wyatt, but I just can't get into the Strowman character. Not reflecting badly on the Wyatts at all. It's just I don't think they needed him. I think there was a time where they were talking about Sister Abigail and possibly bringing her in. Probably I'd bring her in maybe next year. Something different, freshen it up a bit, freshen the group up a bit. That's probably why they brought Strowman in. So bring her in. Whoever you're going to bring in, that'd be pretty cool to see what happens. She could come in and dominate the Divas division. That'd be pretty sweet. Anyway, back to the tag team tables match. Harper was the Rowan was the first one to go through a table, and it was 4-on-3, and then it was 3-on-3 because Rhino got thrown through a table. Then it was 3-on-2 to the Wyatts when Devon got put through a table. Then it was 3-on-1 when Tommy Dreamer got put through a table. I'm sorry for saying that they kept getting put through a table, but I can't remember how they got put through a table. Tommy Dreamer got put through a table after Harper went straight through the ropes. Did like a suicide. I think it's suicide dive they call it, and pushed Dreamer straight through the table. That was cool as hell. And then it was left to Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman versus Bubba Ray Dudley. Bubba tried to fight them all off. The ending was really, really cool because he pulled out a table and then put out some lighter fluid. Gonna set the table on fire, but before he could, Strowman picks him up, choke slams his ass through that table. The table blew up hard, man. That was a hell of a choke slam. The Wyatt family won. They had 3 sole survivors. It was like a Survivor Series sort of elimination match, but with tables. Real good match. Stiff match. Both teams are. So like the Dudleys have been back 2 months now, and SummerSlam, the night after SummerSlam they came back. They've done nothing. Went after the New Day. New Day beat them here, there, and everywhere. And what have they done since? Nothing. So I don't know what they're going to do with the Dudleys, mate. They'll obviously have them in the Rumble, I think. Maybe a tag team title match at Mania. I think they're saving it for Mania for them to win the 10th and be the all-time most decorated tag team ever, which will be a pretty cool moment. But they're going to have to obviously build up to that, maybe starting at the Rumble or on Raw and then building up to a match at Elimination Chamber, and then coming in, Fastlane, and then coming up to Mania, and then have them win the titles there, maybe. Another ladder match would be pretty cool at Mania and have the Dudleys in it this time. Obviously, they won't be doing Salida del Sols off the ladder, but, a 3D through a table off a ladder. Just an idea, Vinnie Mac. I know you're watching. That was the tables match. The Wyatts went over with Team ECW. They had a rematch on Raw last night. Again, we'll talk about Raw in a little bit. But the next match on the cards was the Intercontinental title match. And it was Dean Ambrose and it was Kevin Owens. I was really looking forward to this match. 2 guys that I'm really, really high on. And I'll talk about quite highly. And we've got a new Intercontinental champion. Dean Ambrose is your new Intercontinental champion. It was a really, really good match. It was very, very fast-paced. The guys went at each other 100 miles an hour. It was really cool because the match didn't really have much of a backstory. It was just so Ambrose interrupted Owens and threw some popcorn in his face and threw a soda in his face. And they had that little brawl on SmackDown on the Friday before. And that's how it sort of came about. Excuse me. I know Ambrose won a triple threat match to get to it. But yeah, it was a really good match, really fast pace. The guys didn't let off each other. It was really, really good. It was one of the 4 matches I was really, really impressed with tonight. Obviously, the tag title match, the 4-on-4 tables match, this match, and then the World Heavyweight title match a bit later on. But yeah, new Intercontinental champion. Stunned. Absolutely stunned. The crowd were really into it. When Ambrose won the title, it was awesome. I really like the dance Ambrose did when he won the title. It was just like a little jump in the air, flew over the top rope, jumped into the crowd to celebrate. It was really cool. Owens couldn't believe it. Owens didn't hit his pop-up powerbomb, and the end came when Dean Ambrose pulled off a Hurricanrana. It was a really, really cool. It was really quite a good one actually as well. Ambrose kicked out a Dirty D. Ambrose hit Owens with Dirty Deeds, and Owen got a fingertip onto the bottom rope. It looked a little bit sketchy. It looked literally the ref must have been a millimetre off counting 3, and saw Ambrose like 2 fingers on the bottom rope. That was pretty funny. But then Owens went for another pop-up powerbomb. Ambrose counted into a Hurricanrana, got the 3 count, new Intercontinental champion, and he looked genuinely like over the moon to have won it. Owens looked distraught, and as we saw on Raw last night, he was not happy about it. But Ambrose his US title run was awful, and I don't know how many times he defended the title because it was barely any. And I'm hoping that his Intercontinental run is a lot better because it deserves to be, because he's really good performer. Ambrose is really good. You know, you've seen him in like CZW, and you've seen him in like New Japan and places like that, and he's been all over the place, and he's a real hard worker, and he's a real ass kicker, and it'll make it fun because he's an entertaining guy. That's what I talk about, having like people who care about the champions. Like, no one cares about Del Rio, but people cared about Owens when he was the champion. People cared about Ambrose. It was difficult when Ambrose had his US title on because he was still part of the Shield. So you can sort of forgive him a little bit for that, but there's no excuses this time. He needs to sort of defend his Intercontinental title. Will we see one at the Royal Rumble? Who knows? Possibly after last night, but for now, Ambrose is your new Intercontinental champion. Yeah, like I said, a really fun match. Went about 10 minutes. It seemed to cut a bit short, but for the time that was given, both guys just went into it and into it and into it. And it was a real good match. And it led quite nicely into the Divas match, which was Charlotte versus Paige. Charlotte versus Paige was all right. Nothing special. The match was all about sort of having Ric Flair in Charlotte's corner, obviously being her dad. Charlotte tried to slap. Paige tried to slap Flair in the pre-show, but Flair sort of blocked it. Flair sounded very pissed in his promo. I don't know what was going on, but he sounded like he'd had a few beforehand. And after the match, when he was celebrating as well, he was. I wouldn't use the words vintage Flair for what Flair was like when Charlotte retained, which she did. Charlotte retained with the help of Ric Flair, which was quite disappointing. The match was all right. It wasn't anything special. There was moments where Flair sort of interfered. Paige hit a Rampage DVT, and Flair put Charlotte's leg on the bottom rope. You know, when heels do moves like that, if managers do moves like that, they'll just sort of run away and be like, "Wasn't me? No, don't know what happened." But Flair just stood there and was just like staring at Paige, who then knew, obviously, that Flair was helping her daughter. The crowd also blew up at one point when Paige hit the figure 4 leg lock. Ric Flair was just staring at her, as if he couldn't believe what was going on. But yeah, Charlotte retains the match. Charlotte has now obviously turned heel. It was obviously coming. It's obviously a better move for her. You know, she was really, really liked in NXT, and her face sort of run in WWE so far with Team PCB hasn't really gone very well. There was a cool moment actually at the back when you had Team Bad dressed up like PCB during the Charlotte match, which was quite funny. But I think Charlotte needs a new feud now. I don't think Paige is the best. So she'll obviously get. She's had a rematch. This was it, but she obviously won't have another title shot for a while. Becky Lynch, maybe. Sasha Banks. Why not? Those two had a match on the pre-show as well. Sasha won that with a bank statement. Quite a good match. Better than I thought it was better than the Divas title match, but we just need something fresh. I'm not a fan of Charlotte really as the Divas champion. A couple of points. One, we need to go back to calling it the Women's Championship. The women, they're not divas. Two, Paige, it's not your house. Stop it. Fuck. She must have said about 7 or 8 times during a match. And it's like you trying to like, this is my house, and just trying to like shout out that she's in charge. Once or twice is all right. You get the message across. I don't need to hear it like 30 or 40 times. Honestly, it's really, really frustrating. I know you're trying to get yourself over, but you ain't going to do it if you keep having to repeat yourself. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Charlotte as the champion. Maybe she'll lose it at Mania, or maybe a bit sooner. Give someone fresher. I don't like. It's going to sound really. It's going to sound almost sexist, but she's just not the right character, I don't think, for the Divas champion. I think Sasha Banks she's got everything. She's arrogant. She's talented. I'd say she's arrogant, but she can back it up. She's a great performer in the ring. That's the kind of champion you want. Charlotte just doesn't seem like that. Ric Flair is the greatest champion of all time, 16-time world champion. As much as everyone says it is, I don't think Cena will get to it or beat it. But how good was he in the ring? A few knife-edge chops, a couple of chop blocks to the legs, and a figure 4. And I don't want Charlotte. I don't want that in this day and age. Like I said earlier, you want to see sort of high-flying action. You want to see superstars bust their ass. And I don't think Charlotte can do that. She did the Flair flop though. How could I forget? She did the Flair flop, I should say. Charlotte slapped her. Paige slapped her, and she just like flopped over like Ric Flair. That was pretty funny. But yeah, we need to give someone fresh. I'm not overly a huge fan of Charlotte. Give someone fresh a chance. Give it. Yeah, she's had a couple of month run now. Give it to the Rumble or maybe Fastlane, or maybe if you keep it till Mania and then have like Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch win it, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a really good moment. But yeah, Charlotte retains. Thanks to Ric Flair's help, Drunk Flair. After when they were celebrating, Flair was picking people out of the crowd and was like thrusting towards them, and he was hurling abuse at them. And I don't know if it was scripted or if it was, this is what I proved you wrong and all this sort of stuff. But Flair was not happy. He was kicking the bottom ropes. It was, oh man, he was angry. But then we had the main event for the night. Sheamus, Roman Reigns, tables, ladders, and chair match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Sheamus comes out first. WWE, come on. Kevin Owens came out first as well for the Intercontinental title match, which was really annoying. Champions come out last. How many times? Come on, guys. You know the drill by now. But yeah, Sheamus Reigns for the World Heavyweight title chip. What a match. You put the feud together originally and you think, come on, guys. But this was a real good match. Both guys busted their asses off. The crowd were into it from the first punch. Reigns caught Sheamus square in the side of the face, and you could see Sheamus' cheek bruise. It was a hell of a shot. The guys honestly put him through cells through hell. It was incredible. Reigns went through 2, 3, 4 tables. It must have been. He went through a ladder. Reigns put Sheamus through a ladder. They put themselves chair shots. If you haven't seen it, Sheamus put a picture up on social media of his back after the match. Holy shit! You could see during the match he had on his tricep, he had the skin had been ripped off and he was bleeding from that. There was a cut under his arm. His back was all shredded from the ladder and from chair shots and all sorts. It was so stiff. The match went about sort of 20 minutes, I think it was, but after about 10, the guys were burnt out. They knew what they put them through themselves to, and I think they had to slow it down a bit in the last 10 because they didn't quite realise what they put themselves through, if that makes sense. The bit when Sheamus hit white noise on Reigns through the table, off the steps through a table, was insane. Reigns hit a Samoan drop on Sheamus through a ladder, literally snapped the ladder in half, worse than Kalisto did to Jey Uso earlier in the night. Sorry. Oh my god, the guys burnt themselves out. There was spots after spots. It was incredible. It was really good. I've got to take my hat off to the guys because they worked their ass off, and it was really hard on them because the crowd didn't care about the match. They were booing Roman Reigns quite heavily. They were booing Sheamus. They didn't want either of them as champion. And what do you do when you've got a guy that you're clearly going to push to the moon in Roman Reigns because he is the next John Cena, and a guy who's a filler in Sheamus because that's what he is. He's a filler champion. What do you do? I mean, how are you gonna prove to the crowd that they need to care about this match? And this was the kind of match that they need. Both men went off. The ending came when the League of Nations came and beat down on Roman Reigns. Reigns obviously fought against the odds. Sheamus came out of nowhere with a bro kick. Bro kick Reigns out of the ring. Sheamus had no use of one of his arms, so he could barely climb the ladder. Reigns got back into the ring, but by the time he reached up towards grab the ladder, Sheamus had pulled down the belt. Sheamus is still your World Heavyweight Champion. What a match. It's just incredible. But the drama came after the match. Roman Reigns snapped. The dude went off. He was pissed off. Pulled up a chair. It was a bit dramatic, I'm not going to lie. And I'll talk about it a bit dramatic when Triple H came out after. Beat the shit out of Reigns. Beat the shit out of Sheamus, Rusev, and Del Rio, who came out. Because obviously that's the League of Nations. There's also one other man in the League of Nations, that's Wade Barrett. Where the fuck was he? don't put him in the stable if you're not going to bloody use him. Reigns would have destroyed him, but still. Reigns and Rusev and Del Rio, got battered by the chair and Sheamus. And Triple H came out to try and calm him down and check on Sheamus, who obviously was hurt. I've got to give him credit for coming out last night as well, and Reigns, because both of them worked their ass off last night. But Triple H came down to try and defuse the situation, try and calm down Reigns. Reigns snapped yet again and beat the living shit out of Triple H. Punching him, slapping him. I've never seen anyone sell a chair shot quite like Triple H did. Reigns hit him in the back with a chair. Triple H then jumped in the air and just fell to the floor, and he did it twice. Stephanie was out here trying to get Reigns to calm down. Reigns just flipped, pulled all the stuff off the announce tables, powerbomb Triple H onto the Spanish announce table, which didn't break. All the crowd was sort of like, one more time. They wanted to see that chair break. The crowd were blowing up. We had thank you Roman chants. And the crowd really got behind him. And it's the first time it's happened. And it was really weird because they booed the living shit out of him when he came through, when his name got first announced, and when he came out for the main event. And then during the match, we had NXT chants, which were weird. We had John Cena chants. We had Daniel Bryan chants. There's a small CM Punk chant, which, fuck off. It's been 2 years now. Stop it. And we had Daniel Bryan chants as well. And Roman Reigns then got cheered when he beat the shit out of the guy who runs NXT. Logic, but never mind. He powerbombed Triple H onto the table. Then he ran off the English announce table through an elbow drop Triple H through the Spanish announce table. The crowd went sick. We had a huge thank you Roman chant. Stephanie is going ballistic at this point. We had about 30 referees down to try and calm down Reigns. Reigns then walked out to the back. And here's the bit I don't get. Fair enough, Sheamus. I understand that because he'd just been through hell. But when Reigns was walking to the back, you saw Rusev and Del Rio, and they're just laid out flat. You've had one chair shot, and you're just selling it like you've died. That was pretty funny. Rusev and Del Rio were out. Sheamus was obviously out. Reigns, Triple H was being led to the back by trainers and referees. Reigns saw the fact that Triple H was up, hadn't finished with Triple H, ran down the ramp, ran the corner, and speared Triple H onto the floor. The crowd just blow up again. Everyone's cheering for Roman Reigns. And it was an incredible way to end it. And that's near how you need to book Roman Reigns. You need to book him as an ass kicker who just doesn't give a fuck. I've seen a few people compare it to when Stone Cold did it. Damn right, do it. That's what you want as your champion. Stone Cold dominated for years and was a top guy in the WWE. If you want your top guy doing that for years, that's what you need Roman Reigns to do. A face giving a heel ass kicking. He destroyed Triple H. And Triple H wasn't on Raw last night. For obvious reasons, he got wheeled out of the arena. But I'll give Reigns credit. That was really, really cool. I'm not going to shit on Roman Reigns too much. Mainly because the guy works his ass off. I'm not overly a massive fan of him. And his promos really do need a lot of work. But I'll give the boy credit for that. It was real, real cool. And it led quite nicely. And that was TLC. And that was TLC's pay-per-view. I'll give it about a 6.5, 7 out of 10. I did enjoy it. I'm not going to lie. It was a lot better than what I was expecting. I was expecting something really, really shit. I think a lot of people were as well, to be fair. But they definitely surpassed my expectations. Match of the night was still the tag team title match, the triple threat ladder match. That was absolute insanity. Anyone who wants to try and top that, good luck to you. That's definitely up there with one of my matches of the year. And it led really nicely into Monday Night Raw. Now, I'll just do a quick overview on Raw. I didn't watch it, but I've seen the main highlights of it. And the bits. It all focused around Reigns' actions against Triple H last night. And then the night started off with Stephanie calling down Roman Reigns. Stephanie, when she is angry, good God. Imagine if her kids did anything like that and your mum came up to you and was like, Stephanie, my man, fuck, you shit yourself. She was pissed off. And rightly so. Reigns beat the shit out of her husband last night and demanded an explanation. Reigns didn't give any explanation whatsoever. In fact, he just sort of brushed it off. When he sort of did the stuff to Triple H last night, he sort of yeah, I'm going to be fired, and just carried on, which was a cool sort of angle to go for. Stephanie then proceeded to slap the living shit out of Roman Reigns. Honestly, they were beastly slaps. Reigns had like a massive red face the rest of the night. Stephanie left the ring and just said, I'm not going to fight you because my husband told me not to, but I've got someone who I know will and is on his way to his arena. Crowd blows up. The chairman of the board, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vinnie Mac was back. Vinnie Mac was back and had a big part to play. He came to the arena later on in the night and interrupted Bo Dallas versus R-Truth. They obviously put that match out there just for Vince to come out and be like, get the hell out of my ring, which is exactly what he did. That was pretty funny. Guys who are barely on Raw, when they get on Raw, Vince McMahon tells them to fuck off. Good times, man. But Vince came out, called Roman Reigns out. We came out through the curtain, bit different. Vince wanted an apology from Roman Reigns for doing what he did to Triple H last night and for destroying Sheamus after the match in Del Rio, and wanted him to get on his hands and knees and apologise. Reigns, damn right, wasn't going to apologise. And Vince said, well, give him a reason why he didn't want to fire him straight on the spot. Side note, WWE have a weird obsession with linking things to other things. So, for example, they'll link superstars with animals. So you've got Danny Bryan, who's a goat. You've got Strowman, who is a black sheep, and things like that. They also have it must be an inside joke, but they also have testicle-based humour related to fruit and veg. So Sheamus had tater tots, which are Irish potatoes, we went to aware. Vince McMahon has grapefruits, and Reigns said tonight, I thought you had grapefruits. To me, you look like you've got shriveled up prunes. I know it's a PG show, but stop with the testicle humour. Honestly, that's when the scene around the Rock Review and scene around a mangina, that was quite funny. But they need to start with this. You're trying to go for a serious food and you're talking about testicles. Testicles are funny, but not when you're trying to produce a serious segment. So Reigns obviously winding up Vince to try and get him to have a new sort of title shot. Vince then took off his jacket and looked like he was about to fight Roman Reigns. Vince McMahon is 70 years old. Hell no. Roman would kill him. Literally kill him. Vince can't take bumps like he used to. We found that out later on in the night. But Sheamus came out and said he'd be gladly take on Sheamus again. And Sheamus was that confident of beating him. Why not put the World Heavyweight Championship on the line? And at this point you thought, right, there could be a change here tonight. And the change was confirmed at part one when Vince said, fine, you want to see a World Heavyweight title match? You've got it. On one condition, if you don't win, Roman Reigns, you're fired. And I think at that point, everyone was sort of like, right, Reigns is going to win the title. So later on in the night, we had the second World Heavyweight title match in a row between Roman Reigns and Sheamus. We also, in the middle of that, had a 4-on-4 Extreme Rules tag team match similar to last night. It was Team ECW versus the Wyatts. Wyatts won again when Eric Rowan put who the hell was it? Eric Rowan put Tommy Dreamer, I think it was, through a table. Yeah, he did. Splashed him through a table. Sorry, it's like I said, I didn't watch it, so I've only seen highlights. But yeah, Rowan, who obviously got pinned last night, was only one of the Wyatts to go out, pin Tommy Dreamer, so fair's fair, But that was a really good match as well from the highlights I saw. That was just as brutal as TLC last night. But the main event was Sheamus versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship match. Again, really, really good match. Both guys put it all out on the line. And I think after last night, a lot of people were surprised about how good these two can go. And even I was surprised about how well these two can go, because it was they deserve real props for that, because it was a real tough match. Reigns, oh, Vince is funny. Reigns speared Sheamus, and ref went to count the three, and Vince McMahon pulled him out of the ring, and just started talking to the referee. It was hilarious. Got up on the apron and started just like talking to the referee. The League of Nations came down to try and beat down Roman Reigns. The kick Rusev hit on Reigns was beastly. You could hear it echo, and it was hell of a kick. Then he tried to put the accolade on. Reigns fought out of it. Superman punched to Reigns. Superman punched to Del Rio. Then he Superman punched Vince McMahon, and Vince sold it like he died. He literally just flopped onto the apron. It was so funny. He sold it better than most people do. He sold it better than Triple H, to be fair. But he's been taking those bumps for longer. But it was a real good moment. The crowd blew up when he hit Vince because he was sort of rebelling against the authority. Sheamus went for the bro kick, caught Reigns. Reigns kicked out, went for another one. Reigns caught him with a spear. 1, 2, 3. Crowd blows up. Roman Reigns is your new World Heavyweight Champion. And considering last week they were booing him out of the arena, the crowd blew up. We were in Philly tonight. And that was where the Royal Rumble was. And remember the reaction he got at the Royal Rumble. But like 12 months later, they love him. And, you know, I'm going to be the first to admit Reigns deserves it. It's similar in a way to Daniel Bryan having to go through hell and high water to get the World Heavyweight title, and that's what Reigns has had to do. You know, fight off Vince, fight off Triple H, fight off the League of Nations, fight off Sheamus, all in maybe a 2-week span, or a week span, or a night span, or a 2-night span. And the guy has worked his ass off, and he deserves a lot of credit for it. Like I said, it's a really good match. Sheamus will probably get his rematch, and that'll probably happen at the Rumble. I feel as much as I didn't want Sheamus as champion, I feel a bit sorry for him because, like I said earlier, he was a filler champion. And all he did was, you know, fill in for a couple of months for Seth Rollins before they pulled the trigger on Reigns. I also think they pulled the trigger on Reigns earlier than what they wanted to because of ratings. I've been to see the Raw ratings when they come out later on today to see what they were. They were obviously going to be pretty high. But yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Sheamus just because he was a filler champion for 2 months. So it's a bit unlucky. I still think Rollins is still the long-term champion going forward, and I think when he comes back, he'll win back the title. Whether he'll win it back from Brock Lesnar is yet to be seen. Whether he'll win it back from Cena is yet to be seen, or whether he will win it back from Reigns is yet to be seen. It makes the Royal Rumble more interesting. Who do you guys have to pick the Rumble? I think Cena will come back and win it because he's scheduled to come back at the Rumble. I think he'll win it. And then it'll be Cena and Reigns at the Mania. Do I think Brock will come back? He's scheduled to be back at the Rumble. I think the last two will be Brock and John. And it'll be interesting to see which way WWE go. Do they go the way the fans want? Excuse me again. And want Brock to win it? Or do they go the way that the WWE wants it? And do they go for Cena? If they go for Cena, and Cena and Reigns are at Mania, WWE will shit on Roman Reigns. Guaranteed. I think they'll shit on Reigns even if Lesnar faces it, but I think there's more chance of them believing that Reigns will beat Lesnar than Reigns will beat Cena. And also, because they're building Cena and Reigns up so high, who would win? The match will be going on forever because they just kick out of everything. But that's for another story. That's my review of WWE TLC. That's my review of WWE Raw. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to my channel. I'll be back in a couple of weeks for a video on football or soccer if you watch this in America. Just for a halfway review of the Premier League season so far, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to try and keep it short, but it's very unlikely. And as for WWE, I'll be back for the Royal Rumble pay-per-view next year. So if you don't watch my football one, have a good Christmas, have a good New Year. My name's AJ Morley, and I am out of here. See ya!